Well, squeeze my testy and call me Shirley. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show. I don't know. I have no idea where that came from. Welcome to the show here. This is the John Campea Show, where we talk about the things that we love. Movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all that sorts of good stuff. We're awfully glad that you're joining us here today. Of course, I am your host, John Campea. Good to have you guys here. And joining me in studio today is our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Yeah, you can just call me Jonathan. I'm good.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Squeeze my testes.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show a big part of your day. Here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. And then in the second part of the show, that's when we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an observation you'd like us to address, go ahead and use the super chat feature in the live chat. And you got to be watching the show as we're streaming it live in order to do that. Go ahead and send that on in. And as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on our show, we'll address your question in the second half of our show. All right, guys, listen, we got a lot of things to talk about here today, so we're going to get things going, and we're going to start off with this. You guys will remember that about a week ago, we talked about the leaked X-Men Avengers Doomsday trailer, to which my comment section was flooded with people saying, John, you're so stupid. That's a fake AI thing. To which I said, no, this is really the thing. Then no, you don't know anything. It's a fake AI. Well, that fake AI thing is now playing in theaters. Once again, in front of Avatar,
and I saw
Fire and Ash.
In its glorious IMAX size. It was amazing.
You saw it in its full. I still haven't seen it on a big screen.
Me neither.
Still have not seen it.
I literally just went into Avatar to watch the trailers. I grabbed a cup of coffee at the concession, went in, it was like 9 a.m., watched the trailers, watched the Odyssey one, and then left.
And then there you had it. But I did finally get to see it in its pure non-potato, pure HD, glorious goodness. And I thought, even though we talked about a week ago, now that all of you guys have had a chance to see it, I thought we'd go over it again. First of all, I mean, just going through the X-Mansion, hearing those words from Magneto, death comes for us all. You know, and that line that he says, the question is not, what does he say? The question is not how will you face it or whatever, but it's who will you be when you close your eyes?
Yes.
Right.
Oh man, that line is so good. Kind of like Charles quoting the once and future king, kind of little reminiscent of that. Then of course the two of them playing chess together.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think Magneto and Charles playing chess together is probably the most iconic imagery of that whole era of X-Men. I think that pretty much sums it up. It is an idea, a picture of the two of them playing chess, which is great. Of course, ending on that amazing shot of Cyclops, who apparently James Marsden is finally going to get his due as Cyclops, tearing off the visor and letting loose the full power of an actual optical blast with clearly Sentinels walking behind him. Or it could be Ant-Man in his giant form. Who knows? But I'm assuming it's probably Sentinels. Yeah. I mean, that image is just pure breathtaking.
That's a poster.
Yeah, that's a poster I would hang on my wall. Absolutely. But then, of course, for me, those of you guys who watch this show for any period of time, you know, my all-time favorite comic book character, not MCU character, not movie character, my all-time comic book character favorite is Magneto. Because he's such a multi-dimensional character. There's so many layers to him. And the fact that he's an absolute badass and one of the most powerful beings in the world. And the way he's manifested and brought to life by Ian McKellen is just beautiful and fantastic. And knowing what we know, we're going to get some dandy Magneto action in this movie, boys and girls, which is like pure spiritual Viagra for my soul. I am so excited about this. And again, watching this, we saw the trailer like a week ago in the little leaked version, but to see it in its full beauty just takes it to the next level. I said it before, I'll say it again, Rob. Out of the ones that we got, the Steve one, the Thor one, this is the one. Like this is the one. This is easily the best of those three that we've had so far. I'll even say best out of the 4. We'll talk about the 4th in just a few minutes. But I absolutely loved it. I loved it even more watching it in its full HD glory. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance now to see this thing in its perfect form. What's your takeaway from it?
Well, as somebody, I produced special features for X-Men and X2, the original DVD releases, and those features have been ported over. I've been an X-Men fan my whole life. They're for me, the way I love Star Trek, I love the X-Men. So to see this and to see, here's the thing. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has done the best job at making costumes for these characters. All the uniforms have been exemplary. But to see Cyclops in that Jim Lee, X-Men 1 or whatever, the California style suit that is Jim Lee created, to see it realized by those artisans over at Marvel perfectly. Like, I'm looking at that. Of course, I thought hot toy, yes. But just to see that on screen, that's the X-Men animated, costume for Cyclops. And to see that classic, it's like Berserker Rage with Wolverine. It's Hulk Smash, but to see Cyclops unleash his optic blast, and he's not just kind of unleashing it. I mean, that's full on. He's taking it to 11. And to see that, and to hear, of course, Ian McKellen's voiceover, which, let's face it, we did see Ian McKellen as Magneto before we saw him on screen. It was a little bit, like 6 months before we saw him as Gandalf.
Right.
But to have him be Gandalf, actually, it was 6 months. It was more than that because it was X-Men was 2000, Fellowship was 2001, so it was a year and a half later. But to have that 1-2 punch of Ian McKellen as Magneto and then as Gandalf, I mean Magna Gandalf, whatever you want to call it, it's all of that. It's all of that gravitas in his voice at the end. And he ain't going out like a bitch.
No, he's not.
He's not. And I mean, we're gonna see everything we've ever wanted to see. I mean, the X-Men were, I would call them budgetarily challenged. X-Men 1 did not have a huge budget, comparatively speaking. Now they pretty much have a limitless budget to show whatever we want to see. And we're going to see it. What, John, I think, what this again did? It's a tone. This movie has gravitas. And what we want from our superhero movies is not goofiness, because we take them seriously. And I think the very best fantasy doesn't mean that we can't have humor, because the MCU has always had humor. But ultimately, at the end of the day, these characters are taken seriously. And in Thor: Love and Thunder, Thor was not taken seriously. And to bring it back to that Shakespearean, more of that Kenneth Branagh vibe, like we saw in the woods when he's praying to the All-Fathers, that's what I want to see. I think that's what everybody wants to see. That's what Infinity War and Endgame were. They gave us that, and I think we've now seen 3 trailers that establish these legacy characters. They're all coming back in a film that is not going to make fun of them. It's not going to take the piss out of them. It's going to present them the way we've always wanted to see them. And I don't think that's nostalgia bait. I think that's somebody understanding what it was that they had with the MCU, and they're putting it back to the way it's supposed to be.
Well, it's also just good storytelling. Like if you have a good story to tell, then pulling the characters that serve that story and will become the creative engines that make the story go, that's not nostalgia. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with nostalgia. Nostalgia is just like any other tool in a director's belt. It can be used well, it can be used badly. I'm hoping what this movie does, it harkens us back to a long era of the MCU, because a lot of people are idiots and treat like humor like a dirty word in comic book films. And that's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense.
Absolutely.
When you go back to the best MCU stuff, it was always when it had that balance.
Yeah.
And if you look at, the Russo brothers stuff, you go in, or even go back before that, go to the original Avengers movie, right? Like, some heavy duty stuff is being talked about, and out of nowhere, Captain America, I understood that reference. Yeah. Little things like that, all of them have. You go back to the Kenneth Branagh Thor, where it's your more Shakespearean, but even that was another. It's that balance of
and I
humor
still laugh
with
at
the
that
series.
scene.
And that's
still laugh at that scene.
That's genuine character-based humor,
Yes.
situational humor that's genuine. And like, look, the On Your Left scene in Winter Soldier, which was the Russo brothers' first foray into the MCU, became humorous when he said on your left, like what, the third time, and Sam's like, you know what?
Yeah,
Come on, man, and then paying it off. It's that kind, and that's that humor and gravitas is what made the MCU what it was, and they're showing this. They're giving us that. Even Magneto giving the platitudes has that little air of it's entertaining. And as we know, the entertainment on this movie is off the charts.
Right. Now, so far with their marketing, they're going more serious tone, both with the Steve stuff in a happy but more serious. The Thor one was clearly more serious. This X-Men one is definitely serious.
Yeah.
So they're kind of going that way, but we are a year away from the film. We're going to see the full breadth of it. You know, they just need to avoid the mistake of Thor Love and Thunder, which had the balance, I think the balance in Ragnarok, and then they lost that balance.
Well, look,
Yeah.
and
even
it kind of became, as long as they don't do that, I think they'll do well.
I'm not worried. Look at more recently Thunderbolts. Great humor in that.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
example of heavy themes and good humor at
Yeah.
the same time. Yeah.
But as we know, I mean, what I love about this film is the scope of it is just enormous, and the
Yeah.
stakes are enormous, and what we're going to see is stuff we've never seen before, and I'm excited for the experience of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this now officially out in all its full perfect picture HD glory of this X-Men Avengers Doomsday trailer? Again, just a tiny little tease, but man, the imagery we got in it is pretty damn spectacular. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Speaking of trailers, and we've got a lot of trailer talk today, but moving away from the MCU, despite the fact that we're still going to talk about Hugh Jackman, Hugh Jackman's got a new movie coming out called The Death of Robin Hood from A24. And they dropped a new trailer for it. Listen, I'll be honest with you. This is a movie that completely snuck up on me under my radar.
Yeah, me too.
A poster came out for it the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot this thing was even a real thing. Well, today, the trailer for The Death of Robin Hood came out. And not only has it got Hugh Jackman, it's got Bill Skarsgård, Jodie Comer, who is, I love her. And it's the tale of Robin Hood now much later in life. And he's not very proud of his life. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, who gives us a bit of a synopsis. It says, The Death of Robin Hood depicts the titular character, Hugh Jackman, as having a past marred by crime and murder. Robin Hood gets a chance for redemption when a mysterious woman, Comer, helps him survive an injury from a dangerous battle. I owe you an apology, she tells Jackman in the trailer. You begged me to let you die. Later in the footage, Jackman confesses, I've killed so many, I could not give you a count. It's a curse. Now, this is by the same guy who directed the most recent Quiet Place film, and which was a nice job he did on that. And also the
Nicolas Cage.
The Nicolas Cage movie Pig, which was fantastic. Great direction in that. So he's doing it. All right. My overall feeling, if I'm just going to be honest, I thought it looked kind of cheap. Not going to lie. Looked kind of cheap. And if it wasn't Hugh Jackman in there, I might have guessed this is a little indie. Well, it is A24, but still. I would have guessed it was a little indie made with a $250,000 budget thing, hoping to pick up a distributor at Sundance. It felt small in scope and small in scale. It didn't feel grand, although this is clearly supposed to be a more personal Robin Hood tale. So listen, you got the director, you got an incredible cast, and there are things in the trailer that I really like. This whole idea that Robin Hood getting near the end of his life is like ashamed of his legacy because I murdered a lot of people. Like I killed a lot of people, which even as a kid, that always struck me. It's like this happy-go-lucky Robin Hood, but wait a minute, don't a lot of people die?
Yeah.
So that's weighing on him. I like that. A little bit of Jean Valjean in him there. For those of you who understand the reference, a little bit of Jean Valjean in there.
He played the role.
Yeah,
he
did play the same role. So I think it could be good. I think the movie could be good. I'm just not overly impressed with the trailer per se. But again, it's Sarnowski directing. It's Hugh Jackman in the lead. I'm going to bet this movie's going to be, and it's by A24. I'm going to bet this movie's going to be pretty good. I'm just being honest. I didn't love the trailer. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see the trailer for The Death of Robin Hood. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it looked good. I mean, I wasn't thinking in terms, because I figured it was, I wasn't expecting a big, sprawling, epic story. I mean, to me, that's kind of what I did expect, was that it was going to be more intimate. I mean, it's the end of the man's life, and you're dealing with, I thought it was surprising, the tone of it in terms of Robin Hood. You know, you think of him as kind of this heroic rogue figure, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. And I like the fact that he was regretting his life and his choices. I thought that was a really interesting way to go. And it made me want to see it, you know. But like you, I mean, it's not a big sprawling epic film, but that kind of interested me, I thought, because, you know, I was really excited for the Russell Crowe version of Robin Hood, and I was disappointed.
Well,
Man,
the last two, the one with Egerton.
Well,
Wasn't
that
great
one
either.
never looked good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one being directed by Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe, that was them not long after their incredible
Gladiator.
team-up success with Gladiator.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is going to rule. That movie sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
That was not a good Robin Hood movie at all. And especially with the team that just did Gladiator. I don't know, man. I mean, other than... Listen, I'm an unapologetic sucker for the Costner Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I love it.
I love it. I'm always going to love that. Of course, you go back to one of the great animated films, the animated Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest.
And don't forget Sir Robin.
Brave, brave, brave.
Sir Robin.
And then you got Men in Tights. But I feel like there's been a bunch of Robin Hood stuff made in the last 5 or 6 years, that Taron Egerton being one of them, that turned out so good. So I don't know. Here's hoping this one turns out. Guys, question is for you.
I'm an Aeroflot guy.
What do you think about this? Hugh Jackman's new The Death of Robin Hood trailer has dropped. I'm going to bet money that the movie's going to be really good. I personally didn't love the trailer, but like Rob says, there are some really interesting themes introduced in there. What did you think about it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Speaking of Avengers Doomsday trailers, like clockwork, once the last trailer officially comes out on YouTube, ooh, look, a leak of the new trailer comes out. We'll talk about that phoniness in a minute, but a new Avengers Doomsday trailer is now out there in the wild. And this one, instead of focusing on Steve or Thor or the X-Men, this one focuses on the Wakandans and Fantastic Four. As we see, this came to us from the folks over at Comic Book Movie writing Avengers Doomsday. 4th teaser trailer leaks in red letters online and reveals a meeting decades in the making. And we can see the thing here. Basically, the gist of it is you have the Wakandans, you have Shuri walking, and then M'Baku walks into frame with her.
That looks like the opening of the Last Jedi.
I thought you were going to say Dune.
No, because remember when she...
Yes, it does.
when
Yeah.
she jumps over the TIE fighter?
Yep. Then we got Namor in there as well. And then we got like one of my absolute favorite characters in the MCU is M'Baku. Just absolutely one of my favorite characters in all of the MCU. I will feed you to my children. Kidding. We are vegetarians. One of the best lines ever in the MCU. I just love it. And anyway, then they, of course, come face to face with the Fantastic Four, with Ben Grimm, with M'Baku going, King M'Baku of Wakanda. Ben, from between Yancey Street and whatever.
Between Broome and Grand Street.
It's charming. I really like it. It's a fun, charming little thing. Just kind of letting the audience know, hey, the Wakandans and the Fantastic Four, that's what it says, will return in Avengers Doomsday. Nothing profound. There's no big heartstring like there was in the Steve one. There's nothing profound like there is in Thor and his reminiscent of life and his new role in life. There's nothing as epic as what we got in the X-Men one. But still, it's just kind of neat seeing them and seeing, you know, the Fantastic Four, meeting the Wakandans, you know, just re-establishing for everybody that M'Baku is now king of Wakanda. Shuri still carries the mantle of Black Panther, which was always a mistake. But I like it. I like it. But it's not blowing the doors off. So far, the only one that's really blown the doors off for me has been the X-Men one. But still, it's pretty cool to see these characters. Now, this brings us back around to the elephant in the room. You guys remember that when the X-Men trailer got leaked, I said, okay, the discussion is over. These are not leaks anymore. I said, the timing of it is just too clockwork.
Yeah.
Right? Like a trailer gets leaked just before it hits theaters. Then it hits theaters. Then it hits online officially.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next leak comes out. Then it comes out in theaters. Then it hits online. Then the next leak comes out. I mean, you could just set your watch by this. We said that after this X-Men one officially hits online, we'll probably get the next leak. And lo and behold, here we are. Guys, there's no debate. There's no discussion. Marvel is putting these out. Marvel is leaking these out to different places to make it look like leaks, to get suckers to talk about it, and it works.
The French subtitles were a nice touch.
The French subtitles were a nice little authenticity touch, because here we are, the suckers talking about it. Sure enough, and I'm sure they're going to continue to do this for the rest of the campaign. That aside, nice little spot, nothing to move the needle too awful much, but again, we are talking about a movie that is literally a year away. So we're not expecting too much. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance. You saw this Wakandans and Fantastic Four trailer. What's your takeaway from it? What did you think about it?
Well, I mean, what I like to see is groups of people coming together.
Yeah.
You know, and the real question is, why do the Fantastic Four and the Wakandans have to get together?
Should we tell people? No, we won't. Okay.
Maybe they have to, I don't know, maybe Reed and Shuri need to team up to do something.
I'm assuming that's why people usually team up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But being that they're
Boy,
both,
always bring in the logic.
being that you're dealing with the two smartest people on, and we also know there's something else that we know about this. We know that the Fantastic Four are on Earth 616.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
in Thunderbolts.
That's interesting. Right. So, yes. I wonder who else was on that ship.
Well, come on now. Now you just...
I'm just curious.
Oh,
I mean,
you know who's on the ship, so stop
Just saying.
teasing people.
It's Herbie.
Yeah, Kirby. Kirby's on the
Kirby's
ship.
on it.
Anyway, that all being said, I am curious, though, as we start to get more and more of all these characters being introduced, is how much will the Wakandans be featured? How much will Fantastic Four be featured? Because even knowing what we know, it's a little unclear on that.
yeah, well, yeah.
But I don't think they're going to be putting out these big character spots this far in advance if they're small roles. I mean, that much we know. It's not going to be small roles.
No, I mean, and look at that. So you've got the Wakandans, you've got the Talocan Empire.
Yeah,
you've
because we
got
saw Namor
the
in there.
Fantastic Four, the X-Men. We haven't seen, we haven't seen the actual Avengers. I mean, we've seen Thor
We saw
and
Thor
Steve,
and
but
Cap
those,
and-
but
The
like
current Avengers, you mean?
according to Thunderbolts, we've got the new Avengers and we have Sam Wilson's Avengers, which are the official Avengers, but we haven't seen them.
No, and I suspect within the next 2 weeks we will get them. I think we're going to get a Thunderbolts. We're going to get a new Avengers and the Sam Wilson Avengers. And I think we're going to get, just like in this one we got. And by the way, we don't know anything about, we don't know anything about the marketing campaigns. We don't know anything. So we're just speculating as far as the marketing campaigns go. We're speculating like everybody. Mm-hmm. My guess will be with this one featuring Wakandans and Fantastic Four, I have a feeling we're getting a Thunderbolts Avengers and Sam Wilson Avengers one coming probably in the next couple of weeks.
And what I do love about this campaign is they've completely kept the story of this movie under wraps.
Except for you.
Well, it's different, but
It's getting out there though. It's getting out there because I have seen, I talked about this on the show yesterday during the Q&A, because I've spoken to several people who know everything about the Doomsday plot. And while a lot of the stuff you guys see spilling online is total fiction and just totally made up,
Yeah.
I'm seeing stuff pop up online that is actually real and is actually, like, most people don't know if it's real, but I know it's real.
Yeah.
So I made a prediction yesterday, Rob. I'm curious to know if you agree with this. At the rate I'm seeing it starting to disseminate, I'm thinking by June or July, pretty much the whole plot of Doomsday is going to be pretty much common knowledge. I'm thinking at this point, like, that's just me saying from seeing how much I know is actually true. That's already starting to come out. I don't know. Do you think that's true? Or do you think you're going to be able to keep this under wraps?
I think it's probably true, but you know what? It doesn't matter.
You know what? You're 100% right. It doesn't matter.
Because I'll tell you this, John, my knowledge of what, and your knowledge, all it's done is amped up my enthusiasm for seeing this movie.
Somebody asked me that. They asked me, okay, so knowing the Doomsday script, has that taken away your excitement for the movie?
I'm not saying I don't know anything about the Doomsday script.
And straight up, what I'm telling people is it has actually tripled my excitement for this movie. I am actually far more excited for I am like literally like a few months ago, I'm like, yeah, Avengers Doomsday's coming, man. It's a big pivotal moment for Marvel. It's going to be a really important film. I believe in the Russo brothers working with Kevin Feige. Here's hoping it turns out great. I've gone from that to, oh my God, is it December yet? And so I think you're 100% right. I think once everybody already knows what it is, I don't think it's going to change anything.
I would posit this. First couple, let's say a script was involved. The first sentence, the first two sentences of a screenplay might have made me go, how are they going to do that?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like? Like, I'm literally thinking that. I'm going, what if that was the case? That's the thing about and I felt that way pretty much, well, I've said too much. But it's the kind of, if you knew the plot of this entire movie, you would say to yourself, how are they going? How like what is this even? I don't even, what? I mean, it just, I don't know. I mean, now you can do anything on film, but in terms of how do you make people believe in a certain scope of things happening? Like even a battle scene. If you're thinking about a battle scene between armies, how do you shoot that battle scene to make it effective on camera? Like I imagine reading the Endgame script. If you're reading that script and you come to the battle sequence when the portal's open, how would you envision them doing that?
Yeah, like 70% of this movie is that.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
how would that?
What would that look like? And that's the I think what's interesting about, and knowing the tone now, which is even more important to see where the overall. I am more excited to see this movie than ever.
Right, and again, kind of with this Wakandan and Fantastic Four thing, there was speculation that the Steve trailer was just made for a trailer that's not actually from the movie. That the Thor trailer was just something they shot for a trailer. It's not actually in the movie. All this stuff is in the movie.
Yeah.
And that includes this. All this stuff is from the movie. It's not just stuff they shot for a trailer or whatever. This is all directly from the film. And, I am curious to see, knowing nothing about the marketing campaign, how far they're going to go with this. Because let's say they do give us a new Avengers, Sam Wilson Avengers trailer. Do they give us another one and then another one? Like, how many are we going to get? Everybody who was in Chair Watch represented in some version of some little teaser, maybe leading right up to Super. Are we going to get like weekly things leading right up to Super Bowl when they drop an actual trailer?
We did report they had like how many trailers that I know those are iterations that normally we would say, well, those are just ones that they would nix and approve and so on, but maybe they're taking snippets.
And maybe the Super Bowl trailer's Doom.
It could be.
I mean-
I have a feeling they're going to show us Doom before the Super Bowl thing, though.
Yeah, I mean,
I honestly think we're going to get a Doom trailer just like the Steve, Thor, X-Men, a short 1 minute
Yeah.
kind
like
of
a fifth one?
abstract, and then give a full trailer when we get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because it's going to
we don't know that for a fact, by the way. We're guessing.
Yeah.
speculating. Because it's going to be interesting. I really look forward to seeing a full-length trailer for this movie while I watch the Seahawks win the Super Bowl.
I got bad news for you. Seahawks are not going to win the Super Bowl.
Yes, they are.
You know why? Because they're not going to get to the Super Bowl.
They are going to get to the Super Bowl.
They're not going to get by the Rams. They're not. They're going to lose to the Rams again.
LA, baby. LA, baby.
Not
We'll
this time. You have to have faith.
I'll tell you
The
what.
Jedi Knights of
Quick
the
side
Pacific
note.
Northwest.
Quick side note,
It's been-
though. You know who I'm terrified of now, though? The freaking Texans. That is a scary motherfucking defense. That is one of the scariest defenses I've seen. Anyway, sorry.
So
Getting
it's like
totally
old
side note.
school Ravens defense.
Oh yeah, like seriously, old school Ravens, old school Iron Curtain. That team terrifies me right now. Anyway, sorry, got off on a little bit of a side note there, guys. We're getting into the Super Bowl time. Question is for you guys: did you have a chance to see this leaked? Practically Kevin Feige going to everybody's house and hand delivering it. I mean, we all know Marvel's
Who's going to
putting
get it
this
up
out.
first?
Yeah,
That's what she said.
Who's Kevin Feige going to let post this up first? Anyway, have you guys had a chance to see this leaked Wakandan and Fantastic Four teaser that's now out online? Expect to see it in theaters in the next couple of days. Whatever you guys thought about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got a bunch of things we need to talk about here today, including this report going around that Star-Lord, Chris Pratt, is going to be in the upcoming Vision Quest series. We're going to talk about that. Also, it's being reported by Deadline that Sebastian Stan, Bucky, is joining the Batman 2, joining fellow MCUer Scarlett Johansson in that film. We're going to discuss that. And the 17th report that Kathleen Kennedy is out at Lucasfilm. But this one I think is actually real. We're going to talk about these things and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second here, guys, and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at PrizePicks. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the very first time, trying something new can be tough. But on PrizePicks, it just feels great when your sports takes are right. With big playoff matchups happening every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never really stops, and PrizePicks lets you take control. Ann and I both tried out PrizePicks a while ago, and we were honestly surprised by how simple it was to get started. I put my first lineup together in just minutes, and it genuinely made watching the games with my friends more fun because we were following our player projections all night, cheering for more or less. And there's a couple of features I really love. PrizePicks now has early payouts, so if your player gets off to a hot start, you can have the option to cash out before the game even finishes. And the new social feeds feature lets you share your prize picks with friends or even copy winning lineups with one click. Plus, if you like flexibility, you can choose Flex Play, or if you want the biggest potential prizes, go with Power Play. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. And thank you to our friends at PrizePicks for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, Jonathan was saying he's got something. I honestly have no idea what it is. Jonathan says he's got something to show us here.
We were talking about the death of Robin Hood. I brought this up earlier. That's the poster for the death of Robin Hood.
He was no hero.
And
I like that.
I noticed that Boss Logic had his own version today. It's the death of Robin.
Oh,
He was no hero.
Did he really do that?
Yeah.
Boss Logic does
That's
it again.
hilarious.
There's that. I love that.
For those of you who know the imagery of the crowbar, or for those of you who don't know, in the comics, Joker kills the Jason Todd version of Robin with a crowbar.
Wow, dude.
And that's instead of the death of Robin Hood,
I thought it
that's
was pretty
great.
good.
Bravo, Boss Logic. Bravo yet again. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to our next story here, shall we? Well, you guys might remember that at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, by the way, in a hit and miss era for Marvel, Guardians 3 was one of the hits. That movie was great.
Yeah.
Loved it. And at the end of it, it doesn't say that Guardians of the Galaxy will return. It says Peter Quill will return.
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to a story going around on certain sites, like this major one, Superhero Hype, again, one of the cornerstones in the geek community of websites, is running with one of the stories that they picked up saying Star-Lord set for surprising MCU return in Disney Plus TV show. And they go on to say in the report, and by the way, it's not just other outlets have kind of written this up too, that the TV show we're going to see Star-Lord in, Peter Quill Returns, is Vision Quest, the upcoming series with Paul Bettany and a number of other returning people in the MCU coming to Vision Quest, that he's going to be there. So that would be a very interesting choice to bring a major theatrical character like Star-Lord from a billion-dollar franchise and to have him reintroduced into a Disney Plus series. That would be an odd choice, but we're in an era where Marvel is seemingly moving away from stuff like that, but they are experimenting, and who knows. So I thought we would run a little fact check on it. So for those of you, because I've had a number of you guys earlier today write into me, John, did you see that Star-Lord is going to come back in Vision Quest? I talked to some people in the know, and you can believe me or not believe me, that's totally fine. But I can tell you right now with 100% certainty, Star-Lord is not in Vision Quest. So you can take that as the big fact check. You can take this rumor and put it aside. Again, even just on its surface, it's an interesting idea. I just don't see why they would do that or how Star-Lord fits in with Vision or where that would go. You know where the rumor probably came from? Remember that concept art that came out with Star-Lord and Vision on a couch?
Oh, yeah.
That's probably where somebody picked this up and then said, oh, Star-Lord's come back. Anyway, we can just tell you that unless something really secret changed, Star-Lord is not going to be in Vision Quest. Who all is and isn't, I don't know. I haven't asked, but I can tell you that Star-Lord is not in Vision Quest. So there's your fact check for the day. But Rob, I mean, it does raise the question. It's been a few years now that we had the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and we had the words, Star-Lord, Peter Quill will return. So they got plans. And we still don't really have any kind of insight as to when or where that will be. It's not going to be Vision Quest. But do you have any kind of thoughts right now about where and when, or heavens, is Chris Pratt ever going to come back as Peter Quill? I mean, they clearly had an idea to put it in the end credit, but I don't know. What do you think about this?
I really, to be honest, I don't know. And I think, look, the funny thing about this is, let's just assume if they wanted to have Star-Lord in Vision Quest, they would have announced it. It's not, Vision Quest wasn't like some gimmicky, it's not some secret like in a movie. They're making a TV series that has to do with Vision. They made a big thing that James Spader comes back, as Ultron. I mean, that's pretty huge.
That's huge. But and Chris Pratt is one of the, I mean, like him or not, and I do personally like Chris Pratt a lot. I know there's some people who don't, but like him or not, Chris Pratt is one of the biggest stars in the world. If he's in your show, you're marketing that.
Yeah, of course. And also the story itself, I mean, I don't know how well, knowing showrunner Terry Matalas coming off of 12 Monkeys, which is a great, by the way, if you've never watched 12 Monkeys, it's a great time travel series, really great spinoff from a movie. And then he did Star Trek Picard season 3, which had a really interesting take on artificial intelligence and data.
Yeah.
So it makes him a really good fit to do a really interesting science fiction show with Vision as the centerpiece, Vision and Ultron. And I just think that if Chris Pratt was going to be in this show, he wouldn't just be in a cameo. It would have some kind of real big resonance, and they would have announced it.
So where can we, I mean, listen, we also saw at the end of Eternals that said the Eternals will return.
Shang-Chi.
I really want them to come back. Well, yeah, but he's saying Simu Liu is.
Well, yeah, he's already said he's in Doomsday and that he's going to come back in Secret Wars.
Yeah, he's the first officially confirmed Secret Wars cast member now.
Right.
But I mean, we saw Eternals will come back. We haven't seen any plans for that yet. So my question is, theoretically speaking, where does Peter Quill come back, or does he come back at all?
I mean, maybe Peter Quill's, like, it didn't say Star-Lord comes back, right? It
It
says
says Peter Quill.
Peter Quill. I mean, we might see him again, but I think he's gone home to find the family he never, he was taken away from, and reconnecting. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll wait. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is such a James Gunn creation, and I know that they did, the Russo brothers, they did use the Guardians very, very well in Infinity War and Endgame. So maybe we'll see Peter Quill show up in Secret Wars.
I should point out, one or two people in the live chat are saying, no, it actually said Star-Lord will return.
Oh, does it?
I thought it said Peter Quill, but
I
you
did
could
too,
be
but
right.
okay.
I mean, they are one and the same person, but so it's all
that
good.
Star-Lord doesn't even mean Peter Quill.
Somebody else can take up the mantle of Star-Lord.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was during a scene with Chris Pratt as Peter Quill.
It'd be really deceiving.
Up, so.
I honestly don't know. I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe not either. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, we can tell you he's not coming in Vision Quest, but that does leave the question hanging. It said Peter Quill, Star-Lord, will return. When and where and how? Anyway, whatever you guys think about all that, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this. I can honestly tell you one of my most anticipated movies over the next couple of years is going to be The Batman 2. I absolutely loved Matt Reeves's and Robert Pattinson's The First Batman. It's not the greatest comic book movie of all time, but I thought it was solid. I love the world they created, the mythology they built there. I thought it was great, and I'm really excited to see where they go. Things got really interesting a little while ago when it got announced that Scarlett Johansson was joining the cast of The Batman 2, which is amazing. Then we even heard some whispers about Brad Pitt joining the Batman 2. Well, the carousel isn't over, because according to this report in Deadline, the Batman 2 is in talks to add Bucky Barnes himself, Sebastian Stan, to star opposite Robert Pattinson in the Batman sequel. It goes on to say this. After landing Scarlett Johansson for a new role in the Batman Part 2, director Matt Reeves looks to have snagged one of her Avengers co-stars for another new role in the upcoming sequel. Sources tell Deadline Sebastian Stan is in talks to join the highly anticipated DC Studios sequel in a role which is unknown. If a deal closes, he would join Robert Pattinson, who is set to reprise his role as the Caped Crusader in the upcoming sequel that Reeves is writing and directing. All right. Let's put the MCU angle aside for a second. Sebastian Stan has just proven himself to be, over the last 7-8 years, just to be straight up a great actor. He so shocked me in I, Tonya. He was so good in I, Tonya, in a role that I didn't even realize he was in the movie when I went in to watch it. And they're like, holy crap, like him and Paul Walter Hauser together were gold. Mm-hmm. And then what's that one about the grocery store about, I'm freezing on the name of it, whatever. Then he did The Apprentice, which he got nominated for a lot of awards for. He's just a great, phenomenal actor. And one of the things I've said ever since the movie blog,
Pam and Tommy.
I've said ever since the movie blog days, oh God, him as Tommy Lee, when he's having a discussion with his own penis.
Oh, was it Fresh, that movie?
I think that might have been it.
Yeah.
That might have been it. But in Pam and Tommy Lee, him playing Tommy Lee, he was so good. And I've always said ever since the movie blog days, it is never a mistake to add talent. And so you add a guy of this caliber to an already impressive and stacked thing, that's great all by itself. Now, granted, it introduces an interesting side of interest, like, well, this would be the second MCU person. But here's the thing, guys. We live in a world now where about 4,000 actors have been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 7,000 if you add people who've been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in the DC or DCE universe, whatever, you're going to be hard pressed these days to have much of, a big cast and not have a couple of people who have worn the cape at one point or another. So I really don't think there's anything interesting beyond that. I know a lot of people are going to make something out of that. Well, they got Scarlett Johansson. Now they're getting Bucky Barnes. They're stealing all the people away from Marvel. No, it's not. These are just actors playing roles. It's no big deal. I'm just more interested in a guy of the caliber of Sebastian Stan joining a sequel that I'm so excited about. And I think this is great. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this. What's standing out to you? And do you have any theories about who Stan could be playing? I
have no clue. I heard somebody float the idea that Scarlett Johansson was going to play a gender-swapped Lucius Fox, like a captain of Wayne Industries. I like that idea.
That's not a terrible idea. I don't agree, but I don't either. I think that's an interesting idea.
I heard a thing that she was playing Harvey Dent's wife.
Oh,
that could be one.
That's interesting.
And he could be playing Harvey Dent.
He could be playing an Al Ghul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know though. I don't know if we're gonna get the standard, because the first
Court of
Batman,
Owls thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would think. I would think if the Court of Owls makes more sense to me, because the first was so grounded. What I really loved about the first Batman was very, very grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. And I would expect that they're going to follow suit. And so I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm excited. I think everything I love the Batman. And I can't wait to see the Batman 2, to be honest. I love that take. I love the true crime nature of it. I love the Penguin series. And to me, this is, in a way, if we only get another Batman 2 before whatever the DCU Batman looks like, to have the Batman, to have the Penguin, and the Batman 2 is that's a great little Batman universe unto itself.
Now,
Sure.
I will say this. Okay, I'll say this. Well, I'm saying is like everybody, okay, yeah, Scarlett Johansson and Sebastian Stan were both in the MCU, but there's so many people. Okay, having said that, if like tomorrow we find out like Anthony Mackie is also joining the Batman, I might start wondering about the conspiracy theories about James Gunn stealing all the people away from Marvel. But right now with just 2, I think we're fine. I think there's nothing else to talk about there. Anyway, guys, question is for you. It looks like this cast for the Batman 2 is getting more and more stacked as Deadline is reporting that Sebastian Stan is in talks to join the film. Remember, once you get to the stage that you're in talks for it, that already means the studio's decided you're the guy and you've decided you want to be in it. Now you're just working out the details of the contract. So 99% of the time, it actually ends up being in the movie. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's a big deal that makes 2 MCU stars are going to be in this movie? I don't, but maybe you do. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got a major topic here to discuss, which is the new report coming out about Kathleen Kennedy now, finally, at last, for the 18th time, leaving Lucasfilm. But listen, before we get to that, there's a bunch of other things that are going on in the world of movies and entertainment that we think you guys should at least know about that we don't have time to cover in depth. So we're going to take a quick second, do a little segment we call In Other News. First up, actor Jack Black recently revealed one of the biggest what-ifs of his career, and it involves a beloved Pixar classic. During a Capital FM interview, Black admitted that early in his career, he was offered the role of Syndrome, the main villain in The Incredibles, but turned it down. At the time, he said he didn't recognize director Brad Bird's name and felt that the character seemed a little one-dimensional, even asking Brad Bird to do a rewrite for him. Bird declined, and Black passed on the part, which ultimately went to Jason Lee. Looking back, he calls it a major regret. After seeing how successful the movie became and how The Incredibles is now one of his favorite movies ever, Black says it taught him a valuable lesson about being too picky early in his career. Next up, Kristen Stewart, best known for playing Bella in the Twilight film series, is now talking seriously about returning to the franchise, but this time behind the camera. At the Palm Springs International Film Festival Creative Impact Awards, Stewart said that she'd love to direct a remake of the original Twilight, imagining what it could look like today with a huge budget and a lot of love and support. She made the comments while promoting her directorial debut with The Chronology of Water, and she didn't just express interest. She said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do the remake. I'm doing it. I'm committed if the opportunity ever arises." Stewart also praised the original Twilight directors like Catherine Hardwicke for creating something iconic, but she said she'd bring her own creative vision to a new version. This potential remake talk comes as the Twilight franchise continues to have cultural staying power, with studios exploring other adaptations and spin-offs of the Stephenie Meyer universe. Next up, One Battle After Another is in a pretty good spot heading into award season. As we approach the 2026 Actor Awards, which used to be called the Screen Actor Guild Awards, the early buzz and predictions are shaping up around a handful of films that could dominate the nominations this year. Topping the conversation is Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, which is predicted to receive a historic level of SAG nominations, potentially breaking the all-time record with 7 nominations. Industry trackers are also highlighting several other strong contenders expected to receive multiple nominations, including Sinners, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and Train Dreams across categories like ensemble, leading, and supporting performances. Next up, Evangeline Lilly, best known for her work on Lost and as Hope Van Dyne in the Ant-Man films, has revealed that she's been diagnosed with brain damage resulting from a traumatic brain injury she suffered last year. On January 1st, Lilly shared that after fainting and falling face first into a boulder at a beach in Hawaii in May of 2025, doctor scans showed that almost every area of her brain is functioning at a decreased capacity due to the injury. She explained the diagnosis in an Instagram video, saying that the news was tough but relieving to finally understand what's behind her prolonged symptoms, including cognitive issues and slower functioning, which she had previously been uncertain about. Lilly also talked about how the injury has changed her life this year. She slowed down, focused more on healing with her doctors, and taken time away from acting to prioritize her long-term health and family. Next, a major drama is unfolding offstage at Washington's most iconic arts venue. Stephen Schwartz, the legendary 9-time Oscar-nominated and 3-time Oscar-winning composer behind Wicked, Pippin, and Godspell and others, has announced that he is boycotting the Kennedy Center. The reason? A controversial rebranding. Following the board's decision to rename the venue the Trump Kennedy Center, Schwartz says that the institution is no longer the apolitical home for the arts it was founded to be. In a blunt statement, he told reporters that there is no way he would set foot in the building now. But the story gets more messy. Kennedy Center leadership, led by Richard Grenell, is firing back, calling the reports bogus and claiming that Schwartz was never actually booked for his planned May gala. However, internet sleuths and the news outlets like Entertainment Weekly pointed out that the center's own website was selling tickets with Schwartz's name on them right up until the moment that he pulled out. Schwartz joins a growing list of stars, including Ben Folds and Renee Fleming, who are distancing themselves from the center. As the line between politics and performing arts continues to blur, the question remains: can a national memorial survive when the artists it was built to honor decide to walk away? And finally, Paramount Plus has officially renewed the hit crime thriller Mayor of Kingstown for a 5th and final season. The news comes just a week after her high-stakes season 4 finale that saw the series hit a milestone, earning a perfect 100% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes. Jeremy Renner is set to return as Mike McCluskey, the unofficial power broker of a rough Michigan prison town. He'll be joined once again by Emmy winner Edie Falco, who joined the cast last season as the formidable warden Nina Hobbs. But there is a catch for the fans. The final ride will be a bit shorter. Season 5 will consist of only 8 episodes, down from the usual 10. While co-creator Hugh Dillon previously hinted at a 7-season plan, insiders suggest this move allows the show to go out on a creative high note. Production is expected to begin imminently in Pittsburgh. And that'll do it for In Other News. And that wraps up In Other News. Just trying to keep you guys updated on all the other stuff going on in the world of film that we don't have time to cover in depth. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this. You guys might remember in early 2024, I told you guys that I had found out from multiple sources that Kathleen Kennedy the decision was made she was going to be leaving and that she would be gone and step away by the end of 2025. Other outlets later came out and backed that up, and they had also heard the same thing. Well, guess what? The end of 2024, beginning of 2025 came and went, and she was still there. So much for that. And you guys might also remember just the other day in our predictions for 2026, I sat here and say, I predict, I was just guessing, but I said, I predict that we will go through all of 2026 and Kathleen Kennedy will still be there until at least Star Wars Starfighter comes out in 2027. Well, according to a new report, my predictions for 2026 are off to a rough start. Because according to a story, Star Wars leadership changes are taking shape as Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm replacements leak. Basically, this is coming from Puck's Matt Bellani, who, of course, you guys might remember Matt Bellani if you watched The Studio. Matt Bellani popped up in that a few times. But real-life Matt Bellani has reported that within the next 2 weeks, they're going to officially announce that Kathleen Kennedy is leaving. And not only that Kathleen Kennedy is leaving, but they have her new, not replacement, but replacements. The good folks over at Slash Film wrote the following. In a new Puck report, Matthew Bellani has revealed the 2 names that Lucasfilm is preparing to take over the big job. According to Bellani, Lucasfilm is set to officially confirm the passing of the torch in the next week or two. As for the pair of individuals at the top of the studio's wish list, that would be Dave Filoni, the current creative chief officer of Lucasfilm and the creative talent behind shows like The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Star Wars Rebels. However, Filoni will apparently be joined by Lynwen Brennan, a behind-the-scenes executive who's currently serving as the president and general manager of Lucasfilm Business. So the two of them would be co-presidents of Lucasfilm. Now fans are left to wonder, what will this decision likely mean for the future of Star Wars moving forward? All right. First off, let's acknowledge this is the 3rd or 4th time we've heard that Kathleen Kennedy was leaving. But this isn't somewhere off in the nebulous future. Matt Bellani is saying this is happening in the next week or two. This is done. This is happening. Let me just give my quick thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy departing, and then let's talk about her replacements. Make no mistake, I am no Kathleen Kennedy hater. I have advocated and said for years, and I will continue banging on the drum, that she is purely resume alone. Like I'm just sorry, you're just a nitwit. You're just beyond stupid if you don't acknowledge her place in Hollywood history. She has one of the most impressive filmographies of any producer in the history of the business, to the point that arguably the greatest filmmaker of all time, Steven Spielberg, calls her the greatest producer Hollywood's ever had. She's great. But, as in everything else in life, just because you're good at one job doesn't necessarily mean you'll be great at another. Wayne Gretzky may have been the greatest professional athlete of all time. Doesn't mean he was a good hockey coach, though. He wasn't. He wasn't a very good coach. Just because you're a great movie producer does not mean you're a good studio head. And while I was all for George Lucas's pick of Kathleen Kennedy at first, it's been a disaster. There have been a few wins here and there. Obviously, Andor, greatest thing Star Wars ever done since the original. I like The Force Awakens. At least I like that. Rogue One was great. You know, the first couple seasons of Mandalorian, great.
Andor.
Yeah, that's the first thing I mentioned was Andor. But I mean, really, and I won't relitigate all the reasons about the major jobs of the head of the studio and how she's completely failed at all those. And it's time for her to move on. Actually, no, I take that back. 5 years ago was the time for her to move on. So finally that's happening. But again, just because I'm saying finally, thank God she needs to get out of there, don't misinterpret that as me being a hater of hers. I'm not. It's just that I'm not a fan of her being in this job. She's not done a good job. So it's good for her to move on. It's good for Lucasfilm for her to move on. Now let's go on to her apparent replacements. According to the report, Lynwen Brennan and Dave Filoni. I have very mixed feelings about Dave Filoni. On the one hand, I like him a lot. I've had a chance to meet and talk with Dave Filoni a number of times. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars Rebels. I love Rebels. And I really like his contributions to the first couple of seasons of Mandalorian, all that kind of stuff. I have historically been very resistant to the idea of Dave Filoni becoming the next head of Lucasfilm because he doesn't know the first jack squat drip of piss about running a major company. He just doesn't. This is completely outside of his wheelhouse. So I've been a little bit worried about that. But I challenged myself this morning. And I thought, when I first brought up those concerns, that was like 5 years ago. He's now had 5 years working at closer to the top of the food chain in the company, in the production company. He's now been a couple of years the chief creative officer of the company. He's had 5 more years of experience since I first had those reservations when people would suggest Dave Filoni. I'll give him that. I'm also going to cheer for him. If this report turns out to be legit, and I have no reason to believe that it's not, I'm going to cheer for Dave Filoni because he's now going to be one of the 2 people in charge of my most precious and beloved franchise in history. So that's going to be good. I am still a little hesitant though, because to me, this feels like Lucasfilm is taking a step backwards. I feel like Lucasfilm needs new leadership, needs a fresh direction. And I'm sorry, but Ahsoka does nothing to make me feel more confident. That show was not good. I'm sorry, everybody. I mean, it wasn't the word. It wasn't The Acolyte. Okay, it was. I'm not trying to put it in the same category as The Acolyte. It wasn't. Way better than The Acolyte. But overall, Ahsoka was just not good. And I don't know. Maybe Ahsoka season 2 will be great. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But I kind of feel like Star Wars is at a place where they need fresh vision, new leadership, a new direction.
A new hope.
A new hope, if you will. Well done. Well done. But listen, there are very few people on this planet who understands and has a passion for Star Wars like Dave Filoni does. There's very few. And again, I like the guy. He's done some things that I really, really enjoy. I mean, just watching Star Wars Rebels always just filled my heart with joy watching it. It really did. But is that the direction Star Wars should be going? Because here's my fear, Rob. My fear is we're going to get the Ahsoka trilogy now hitting theaters because Dave Filoni just has this unhealthy obsession with that one character. And I just fear if Dave Filoni had been in charge, by the way, this might not be true. This is just what I'm worried about. Had Dave Filoni been in charge, we wouldn't have gotten Star Wars Starfighter greenlit. And I haven't been as excited for a Star Wars project in a long time as I am for that. So, you know what? End of the day, he's far more experienced than he was. Years more experienced than he was when I first was concerned about him. I think he's got a great attitude. I think he is a Star Wars is in his blood, and I'm going to cheer for him. I'm going to absolutely 100% cheer for him and hope for all the success in the world to come from this. But I still do have my reservations. Now, that being said, it's also really interesting that they looked to what Warner Brothers did with DC. They took a guy like James Gunn and they paired him with a more business guy in Peter Safran. And that's what they've done here. They're pairing up Dave Filoni as a co-president of Lucasfilm with Lynwen Brennan, who is much more experienced as an executive to actually run the company. So how that balance is going to work, it's clearly there's a great friendship and chemistry between James Gunn and Peter Safran. So that works great for them. Will this work well here? And another question I have is how much leash are they going to give this new team? Are they going to give them 1 or 2? And by the way, remember, as in all regime change, we're not going to know if this is good or bad for a couple of years. Like Mandalorian and Grogu, if it sucks, yeah, you can put that on Dave Filoni because he's one of the writers of it. But I mean, Starfighter. If Starfighter is awesome, Dave Filoni gets no credit. If Starfighter sucks, Dave Filoni should get none of the blame. Remember, Starfighter coming out in 2027 is still purely the Kathleen Kennedy regime. It's not going to be until after Starfighter that we get an idea about how the Filoni. So we're just going to have to take a breath, wait for a year and a half, 2 years to really see creatively. And then I'm going to be curious to see how much leash they give him. One flop and he's out. One flop, one hit, another hit, one more flop. Is that good enough? Is that not good enough? One hit, do they give him a 20-year lifetime contract? I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. So, Rob, I am less resistant to the idea of Filoni becoming a co-president for two reasons. One, they're making him co-president, not the actual solo head. And two, he has 5 years more experience now than when I first was concerned about it. And I'm going to choose to cheer for this. I'm going to choose to be optimistic. But that doesn't change the fact that I do have some reservations. I do think they should have brought in completely fresh blood, given a new direction to Star Wars. But this is where we are, and I'm just going to hope that they do a great job with it. We'll find out in late 2027, 2028. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. I guess the first question we should ask is, do we believe it this time that Kennedy is out? And then what do you think about the decision of leadership there to create co-presidencies, one for Dave Filoni and one for Brennan?
Well, first, I mean, Filoni is not Dave Filoni, but Filoni over at Puck is not somebody who...
Filoni.
Oh, did I say Filoni? Filoni. Filoni, I meant to say Filoni.
He's not some Gus's gas station movie reviews. He's serious.
And he's very serious in terms of covering the industry, and he definitely is in the know. So that leads me to believe that there's smoke there. Look, I think Dave Filoni, nice guy. I like what he did. Like you, I like Rebels. I like Clone Wars. He's an animation guy. You know, and what Star Wars needs is somebody who, and he's also he's a George Lucas acolyte himself. He's a Star Wars fanboy, which is great, but I don't necessarily think that's the best person to be running Lucasfilm. I think Lucasfilm needs somebody that can think beyond Star Wars. We need and think of Star Wars in terms of being something other than it is.
Well, something new.
I'm not convinced that Starfighter or The Mandalorian and Grogu are going to do much to move the Star Wars needle. I'm just not. I think that it would be more interesting if someone came up to me and said, we have a comprehensive plan to do Knights of the Old Republic. And you had a lot of really interesting creators involved to do something grand. I'm like, okay, that's something to look into. Sure. But I don't think that there's much excitement for Star Wars right now at all. And I don't think that Dave Filoni...
Andor helped.
Andor helped, but everyone knew Andor.
Everybody already knew it was going to be
that
great.
was the end. And that was a continuation of what went on with Rogue One. So I'm like, look, I always give new people a chance and give Dave Filoni a chance. Maybe he has a grand vision. And the person that will be co-president is kind of like very much a business person, business-oriented person that knows where the bodies are buried, knows how much money has been spent on Indiana Jones, and knows what went on. So that makes sense. But I don't see a bold new vision for Lucasfilm here. And I think that's unfortunate. But again, like you, I'm a fan of Filoni. Let's see where he takes it. But to me, I have a wait-and-see attitude when it comes to Star Wars in general. I mean, I think Star Wars is right now a moribund franchise. I think it's not going anywhere that's particularly interesting. Maybe Starfighter will be a good movie. I think Real Steel was a good movie, but it didn't make me want to delve into the Real Steel universe.
Why?
And I think Sean Levy is always he's always free guy. You know, everything he's done's been good. I like Sean Levy, but he hasn't broken any significant creative ground where like, oh my God, he does really great stuff. He's kind of like, he reminds me of Ron Howard. You know, I like all of Ron Howard's movies. I like movies like Cocoon, Beautiful Mind. He won an Academy Award. You know, Ron Howard's great. I still am waiting for the sequel to Night Shift back from 1982.
His first movie, right?
No, it was not his first movie, but early studio work.
Oh,
you know, did that because he'd made like Gone in 60 Seconds, or it was one of those things. Not the original, or the original, I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see. I mean, to me, Star Wars is a franchise that right now I'm more interested in George Lucas's museum than I am in the future of Star Wars.
I don't know. Like, I think Starfighter can be like Mandalorian and Grogu won't move the needle because it's just the next season of a TV show.
Yeah.
I think Starfighter does have the potential to move the needle.
I think so.
As something completely fresh and completely new, not with characters we visited 100 times. And you know what? Listen, while I am saying that I think we needed fresh outlook, fresh blood, not somebody who is just a George Lucas acolyte, not just somebody who kind of represents old Star Wars and not a very successful era of it. Nothing is precluding, let me challenge myself here. Nothing is precluding Dave Filoni from having a brand new, fresh vision.
No.
Like Dave Filoni very well could be, like, he could be the guy that comes out and says, hey, listen, it's going to be a new era for Star Wars. We're moving beyond the Republic. We're moving beyond Ahsoka. We're moving beyond all that stuff. It's time for a new, fresh George Lucas. I've said for years, the true genius of the universe that George Lucas created was that it's so vast. That's the true genius of George Lucas's creation. And it's time for somebody to actually step into that vastness and to go in a new direction. And maybe Dave Filoni will be that guy. My fear, and it's only fear, and we know where fear leads to. My fear is that it's just going to be, you know what? I had some really good success when I did Clone Wars. Well, let's go back and do 17 more stories that happened in between the prequel movies. That's my fear. Again, I have nothing that says that's what they're going to do. And hopefully Dave Filoni is the guy that's got the vision to go boldly forward where no Star Wars director has gone before. Maybe. Hopefully. Again, I'm going to choose to be optimistic. I'm going to choose to cheer for him. Would I have made this choice? No. Would I have gone out and gotten somebody else? Yes. But that doesn't mean this can't work. And it doesn't mean it can't be knocked out of the park. And it doesn't mean that Dave Filoni may not usher in a new golden age for Star Wars. Dave Filoni and Brennan, of course. And here's hoping it will. I have my reservations. I have my doubts. But I'm going to choose to be hopeful, Rob.
Me too.
Choose to be hopeful. Now let's just wait and see if it actually becomes official. But again, like you said, Matt Bellani, he was in the studio. He's not some guy just going out there spreading rumors around. And so
yeah, he's not full of Bellani's not full of baloney.
Yeah, he is not full of baloney. So
neither is Filoni full of baloney.
Anyway, guys, you know, it's funny. I still got some brain dead dick zits in the live chat. It's like, John, you're a hater. I literally just talked about all the ways this could be great for Dave Filoni, and I'm going to choose to be optimistic. I'm going to cheer for him. But if you say anything that's not positive, you're a hater. Oh, my God. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It sounds like Kathleen Kennedy is finally going to be moving on from this. And it sounds like instead of just one person in, it sounds like they're going to go the James Gunn and Peter Safran route and have co-presidents for it. One to really more be the grown-up, I guess, and kind of run the business, and the other to kind of maybe hopefully look after the creative direction. But will it be a creative direction that goes backwards, or will it be a creative direction that's something fresh and new moving forward? You certainly can't doubt that you're putting a person in there who truly has in their DNA a love for Star Wars. So let's see where this goes. Anyway, guys, whatever you think about all this, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. Just to give you a heads up, I already turned off the super chats about 20 minutes ago because we already had a lot of super chats come in. So we're going to go over and now start taking all of your questions. But before we do, we're going to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
And all right, guys, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, Nerdy Beard Man says, let me just shift this over a little bit. What does Marvel need to do build-up wise for Doomsday or Secret Wars to stand a chance for $3 billion box office?
You can't. There's no such thing.
And which one stands the better chance? I know we haven't seen them, but assuming they're very good movies.
Yeah, build-up's irrelevant at this point. Build-up's irrelevant. At this point, what you just need to do is create a great movie. Everybody knows Marvel. Everybody knows the MCU. Everybody knows Avengers. The buildup at this point is just about the first opening weekend. That's all the buildup does, is it will build your first opening weekend. After that, it's all about how good is the movie. Will people buzz about it? Will people come back to see it multiple times? Will people talk about it with their friends? Will people drag other people to come and see it? That's what it's going to be all about. Do you make a good movie? And that's what they got to do. Everything else is just noise. Everything else is just fluff. Everything else is just about having a big opening weekend. But if you want to join the $2 billion, get the $3 billion out of here. If you want to join the $2 billion club, what you got to do, it's not about the buildup, it's not about the hype, because that's just opening weekend. Do you make a movie that has people clamoring to come back and to bring other people with them? All right, guys, listen. My apologies, but nothing bad, but something has come up that requires my immediate attention. So we are going to actually have to clock out the show right now. Now, a whole bunch of you guys have sent in super chats. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a companion video a little bit later this afternoon. I will make a totally dedicated video to just going in and answering all the questions that got sent in today. Then I will post it up on the channel. So keep your guys' eyes open for that. Like I said, I do apologize, but this is something that needs my attention. I need to go and take care of. Again, nothing bad. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to be concerned about. It's just something that's quite urgent. So I got to take care of it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here today and being a little part of our show. Big thanks, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett, to our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.